All right, moving right along. Our next panel is called Breaking Through the Noise, Creative Business Strategies for Black Music Creators. I would like to welcome our panelists up to the stage. First of all, our moderator, Shannon Sanders, and its panelists, Mimi McCarley and Derek Miner. Please join me on stage. All right, I'm handing it over to Shannon.
Yes, sir. I'll do it right here. Okay. I'll do it. All right, everybody, all right? Come on now, this is Music City now. Y'all know how to make noise. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Shannon.
Listen, I'm excited today to be able to do this panel with my friends. And I know them, and we've done work together, and so we know each other. And so this is why I'm honored that they accepted my invitation to be on this panel, because for what our topic is, they are very well versed in this, and this is one you definitely want to have your ink pens out on, because these folks know what they're talking about. So again, let's welcome Mimi McCarley, Derek Miner.
Hello.
All right. All right, empowering Black creators to achieve beyond, breaking through the noise, creative business strategies for Black music creators. This is our topic today. Creative business strategies for Black music creators. And I mean, this conversation really goes beyond just being a Black music creator. It goes into just being a music creator, but specifically for Black music creators, this is June, we're talking Black music, but this, for the record, applies to any and everybody. Let's talk about how it was, sort of, how a previous panel was, how we got here and where we are now. So Mimi, let's talk about what the game was and how limited creators' options were in the beginning.
Yeah. The need for the labels, obviously there was a need historically that is not today. So the field is definitely, evened out. And for the independent artists who have vision, who have belief, vision, and a product that makes sense in the marketplace, I mean, there's definitely opportunity for economic advancement doing something that you love, which did not exist previously. So I'm excited about where music is today, where it's going. Where it's Black Music Month, and it's great. I love being a Black music creative and serving Black music creators. But yeah, if you got these are things, these are soft skills. These are things that when we talk about creative business strategies, we're talking about belief. We're not even going to get into like the mechanics of business yet. We're just talking about belief. What do you believe you can cause? What do you believe you can make happen? Self-belief, belief in something higher than yourself. And then secondly, vision. What do you see for yourself? I don't care what the market is. I don't care what the industry is. What do you see for yourself? And then two, how do I engineer that? If I see something in the future, I know what that is. But how do I reverse engineer that? How do I take steps in the right direction? For me, that's nuts and bolts. That's as complicated as my life gets.
Oh, that's awesome. Derek, what would you say? And being, we'll get into some of what else you are in a little bit, but as an artist, like you starting out in your career, what were you limited by? Like in the beginning, what did it look like and what were your options before you broke out on your own and decided to do your own thing? What was it like before you took that power into your own hands, your destiny into your own hands?
Yeah, I think that music, initially getting the album out the door, I mean, just paying to get it pressed up was very expensive. I mean, even if you wanted to, even if you just did like CDs or tapes or records, whatever it was, just the artwork in itself and the actual pressing of the actual product was extremely expensive. Now the margins on it were a lot higher than they are now, right? You buy something for $3 a CD, flip it for 15. So the margins were really, really high, but as far everyone couldn't really bankroll that. People didn't have 10 grand laying around to bankroll that. And that's not even the actual creation of the actual art itself. So I think for me, that was one of the biggest things, was finding a partner to help me distribute and get those records out to people so that I could take my personal money and put it into promoting, which would be things like touring and appearances and all of that. So I think that was one of the bigger things. And then also the ability to have access to people. You know, some of my biggest markets are LA, Dallas, Miami. And in the past, in order to build those markets, you literally have to go to those places, right? You'd have to go there with your band or whatever, perform that, and then you want to be there every 6 months, 6 to 9 months, and keep developing that scene. But now it's a little bit different in the sense that, I mean, you could be everywhere all at once.
And you know what? Not just everywhere. You can be everything now. And the beauty is, like, they didn't need you previously in some of these configurations to be as much. They didn't need you to bring as much of yourself. You didn't have the opportunity to infuse an entire campaign with your creative DNA, if you will. You turn in a record and you're done. They're going to close the door, slam it, and then you hope it works. But hope, as we know, is not a strategy. And we're here to talk about real, tangible strategy. So let's talk about now. Let's talk about the power of now. So how many of you are creators? I'm curious about that. Okay. We have some creators in the building. We're talking creative strategy. What's the power of now? And what are some of the things that are available to people now as tools? But let's talk the power of now. Even before we get into tools, let's just talk about the power of now.
You want to take this first? That's broad.
I said this, I was talking to one of my business partners about this. I said that I think the days of, let me rewind. So going off of what I said before, it was a lot harder to break into the music industry. But once you got in the music industry, there was so much money invested. It's really hard for you to lose, right? If a label was saying, hey, we're going to give you a 6-figure budget to work this project, they anticipated 10x in their money. Now everybody can get in. So it's not even, I don't even think, like, people will say, oh, it's so easy to make music and be successful now. I think it's harder because any kid with a FL Studio and a laptop can pop off. And that's who you're competing with. So even, you compete with a 13-year-old kid who don't have nothing to do all day but go to school and then come home and put out song after song after song after song. And he's just going to play the algorithm like the casino and just hope that, the song works for you. So, I mean, that's what you're competing against now. So I think that it's way more competitive now. But the thing is, if you have a strategy, you're able to carve out an edge. And I heard someone say the riches are in the niches. Yeah. Like, so the main focus is.
Write that down.
Back that thing up.
Write that down. Somebody write that down for me.
Riches in the niches.
Hey, that dog a hunt right there, brother. The niches are, the riches are in the niches.
Yeah, so it's a lot, like, it's a lot harder now to be the next Drake, but it's way easier to say, I'm going to find my thing and just capitalize, and I'm going to work that thing over and over again and grow my own platform. So, yeah.
Who showed us that? It wasn't Jack Harlow. Was it Jack Harlow?
Jack Harlow. I mean, everyone is showing you that. Russ is showing you that. Jack Harlow. I mean, every artist. I mean, even when you look at, I could break down psychologically most artists that are successful. If you look at Lil Uzi Vert, he's a rock star. Yeah. He's black rock star, right? So that's his thing. You look at Playboi Carti, he's grunge, rock star, dark, gothic, black artist. Like, he has a thing, he has a niche. And most people wouldn't think some of these people are as successful as they are. Mm-hmm. But then when you go into their ecosystem and go into their world, they have such a massive following. So they may not be able to capture global attention. And I think that especially for a lot of artists that have been in the music for a while, we're always trying to capture the global attention. I want all eyes on me. But it's like so much money that can be made just focusing on a niche. Just staying right there.
All right, so look, let's pivot on that. So Mimi, go there and let's pivot And let's go there. Let's dig into the riches being in the niches. Let's talk about that. And then there, we're gonna bring that back to you. But let's talk about the power of the niche. Like, let's talk about what people really focus on. And and then to Derek's point, about these kids that are able to just throw this thing at the algorithm all day. And the boutique star or the local star. That's the thing. Like, folks don't necessarily have to subscribe to what culture is in, hypothetically speaking, New York. Kansas City got their own stars. And they're throwing it against the wall all day, every day, and speaking of their culture and winning. And see, we've been watching Texas do that for a long time. We've been watching Atlanta do it for a long time. Talk to us about these niches.
Yeah, I want to talk about just really quickly, everybody heard the saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. So if your vibe is high.
Whoa, there's another one. Write that down. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Woo. Hey, they preaching today.
So your vibe, if your vibe is high, meaning that you know who you are, you know what you're, not what you're doing, like the tactical steps, but you're confident in who you are, you're settled in who you are, you're going to attract that type of person. You're going to attract, your vibe is going to bring them to you. So it gets easier to develop a target market when you really know who you are and you're okay with that person. A lot of times you got people out here, they don't know who they are. So they struggle with their target market. Because ultimately, again, they're going to use some big, nice, fancy words. I'm going to keep it all the way simple because that's how my life is set up. At the end of the day, we're looking for community and connection. Whatever product leads us to that, but that's what we're all as humans. That's what we're looking for, community and connection. If I know who I am, I can appreciate you. If I know what my product is, I can put it out there and people are going to find it. The strategies come in. What tools do we have today? How do I make the connection with that person? But you got to identify who that person is. If I start singing a song right now, 10% of y'all are going to like what I do. Guess who I'm going to become obsessed with? The 10%. Guess who I don't care about in this context? The 90. So I'm going to focus on the people who have shown an interest in what I'm doing. We as humans tend to focus on who didn't like us, who didn't get it, who ain't following us. I don't care about those people. I care about who is interested. And if we focus on the people who are naturally interested in you and what you have to offer, you will grow.
Yeah.
That's been my personal story. So
that's a word. Quick question too. How much time do we have? How much time we have left? 15? Okay. Let's do this now because I could talk to you guys all day about this because you're both amazing. Let's do it this way because these people, this is what they ultimately want to know, right? All right. I'm an artist, right? So I want you guys to talk me through this. Oh, 45. Okay, cool. Okay.
You said we have 45 minutes left?
Oh, 45. I thought it was 15. Okay, cool.
he was about to do the
Okay, I was
rap.
like, man.
It's
okay.
lit. It's lit.
Let's do it this way, and then we'll answer some other questions on the back end because I think this room may have some questions for you guys too. Let's do it this way. So let's walk through a single release and what people's options are and what that looks like. I'm an artist. I got a brand new song. It's bumping. Okay. I wanted to your point. I feel like I know who I am and I want to speak to a particular demographic. Okay, let's say I'm, 25 from Nashville doing hip hop and I got a little buzz, I got a little thing going on, but I'm dropping a single. What does that look like? And that the people here that are doing that, people are here recording records and making records, what to do with them. And everybody has a different way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about options and things we can do. So I'm gonna walk in and I got this song and I play it for you guys. Okay, cool. What are you listening for? And I want you both to answer that. So what are you both listening for?
So he's going to answer differently. I do a lot of new independent artists. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at any available analytics to learn about their market. And the second thing I'm going to do is construct or arrange a focus group where I can get, again, I obsess over my target market in a healthy way. You want to know, you're getting into their minds. If that's who you're serving, that's who you want to know about. I am not as important as the target market. My customer knows more than me. That's how we have to look at it. So I'm going to get in a room and we're going to ask questions that's going to give us answers, because I don't know yet. I don't know what role or how I'm going to roll this out until I talk to the people who I'm going to roll it out to. And so once I sit down and talk with them and they're going to give me insights, then that's going to help me to start mapping out with the artist how we're going to roll this out.
Okay.
So that's, for me, that's what I do first, just to gain some information. I don't know every market. Okay. We have to learn the market, and then I'm obsessed. Talk to them. Primary research. Talk to them.
Yeah. Gina can attest to this. I was signed to Gina for a while.
Shout out to Gina Miller.
I was signed to Gina
legend.
Miller, the legend. I learned a lot from her. You don't know what song's gonna do what. It was certain songs that we would like throw out. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw this out as a single, and it's like, and then it's like, all right, this the one. We done worked on this mug all over. We done got radio. We done got all this, and it's like, dang, but it still ain't doing as good as the one we just threw out. So I would say, number one, if your mindset is, I got the one, you already lost. Because it's like, you don't know. The market is going to tell you if it's the one or not. Like, so that's number one. If you go into it with that mindset, you really just kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. I look at all my songs, I just let them fly. And I put a plan behind them, and the consumption of the people will determine if it was the one or not, right?
Now watch this, and just assuming nobody knows anything, let's dig in on that, because that's a whole thing. Like, you can put so much into one, and then if it doesn't react the way you want it to, now what? So let's speak to the now what. Is the now what, and data shows, and some people say, at this point, you got to be ready to drop them every 5 to 6 weeks. You got to be ready to come to the next one, whether it does well or not. You got to have one in the chamber. Yeah. Let's speak to that.
You know what? Derek's co-label owner, Doc, actually taught me this. He said, if you're not looking at the next 18 months as it relates to recording music and releasing music, you already lost. We live in this TikTok world. Everybody think that, is a hit. And what people fail to realize is that over time, people have figured things out. So we got to look at recording music, getting it into the market for over 18 months. That's a lot of data that's going to tell us, what is what is gaining traction, what are the people liking, what is not it, because a lot of times artists pick the wrong one. A lot of independent artists have no clue which one is the one, because they haven't talked to their target audience about which one is the one. So the focus group, again, gives you insight to say, okay, I should put some money here because now I've sampled 100 people and they said that the data says that this one is the one people are responding to. Mm-hmm. So don't look at one song and put so many eggs into one song. Mm-hmm. I think you should look at a body of work and release it over time to gain the data. We obsess over which one do I do first? He just said you don't know, but if you have a plan for the next 18 months or 12 months to release music into the marketplace, the data will not lead you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and I would say also, I think a tendency that we do is when we see a song working, we do the opposite. We say like, oh man, that's working. I ain't got to worry about that one. I'm gonna work on the next one. And that's the opposite of what you should do. Now think about it. If you just got a record that's popping and it's doing well, why the hell when you throw if you got a fire and you've been working on a fire for years, you finally get the spark and it's finally growing. Why the hell when you pour all the gasoline you got on that fire? Like it wouldn't make no sense. If you trying to, like I'm like, yo, if I get one that's gone, I'm like, oh, TikTok, Instagram, y'all getting this mug every day. I'm on this mug. Have you heard this song? Have you heard that? Because that dances and everything. Because the algorithm is built to reward what's working. It's not built to reward what's not working. So, but as creatives, a lot of times they're all our babies, right? So we want to make sure all our babies get a chance to grow. But look, if you got Michael Jordan over here, put him in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying if you got Steph, put him in the game. But I would say, I think sometimes our philosophies have to shift.
Yeah.
You have to stop looking at in the past, music was viewed as a commodity. It was viewed more as an art, but you're no longer, you're not selling an art anymore. You are a, it's not even that you're a product, you're a tech company now. Like, and that's a hard thing for people to
go there.
That's a hard thing for people to come to grips with, because it's like, this is our art, we love it, but you're no longer just making art. I'm not gonna say you're not making art, but you're not just making art. You're a tech company. You're a marketer. You are Netflix, right? So rather than looking at what's Netflix model, Netflix dropping a new doggone show every week, right? And they're just hoping to get a Squid Game or a Stranger Things out of it. But look how much money they're throwing at just getting as much art out there as they can to get the success. So what I would say is, I'm gonna give you a couple tangible things that I want you to think about. One, don't look at yourself as just an artist. You are now a tech company, okay? Number one. Number two, consistency is king. It's king. So if you're sitting on 10 records, or if you got this one song you're really excited about, don't just start working that one song and then, now, okay, because what if it works? What if people want more, right? Nah, you need to have clips. You need to have bullets in the chamber. So if you don't have any music recorded now, get me 10, 12 songs, right? And then roll those out, just like Netflix rolls out episodes, rolls out shows, right? And then when you get one that's popping, that's where you put more of your marketing money into, right? So that's number two. Consistency is king. Number three, as far as marketing is concerned, you need to work on building your marketing funnel. What's your funnel? I know a lot of people that were popping on MySpace. I know a lot of people that was popping on Facebook. I know a lot of people that was popping on Instagram. And guess what? They all had their day and now it's gone. Doesn't matter. But if you have a marketing funnel to where when someone comes to your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or whatever, if they come up with top tick next week, cool. I can apply that same information to that. What I'm trying to do with me, I'm trying to pull you out of Instagram world into Derek Minor world. I'm trying to pull you out of whatever world into my world, because the thing is, those platforms, we've seen it happen 100 times. Remember Facebook, you can talk to anybody. Now you don't even see anybody on Facebook that you like. All you see is ads. Same thing with Instagram. And guess what? Same thing's about to happen with TikTok eventually, because they have to monetize those platforms.
Now,
right?
tell us real quick. So tell us what Derek World looks like, because you make a great point. Instagram, right, is a point of discovery. TikTok is a point of discovery, but you're pulling them from there to Derek World. Where's Derek World? Is that DerekMinor.com? Is that the website? Like, what does that look like?
Where you directing traffic to?
Ultimately, I'm trying to get you from all those places to DerekMinor.com, preferably to my email list, to my text. Like, I don't do text. I don't have like a text thing, but they have things where you can literally text people. Right? I'm trying to get you to something that I know that I can control. Google doesn't care about anything but your data. Facebook doesn't care about anything but your data. So you shouldn't care about anything but the data, because Google wants to be able to get in contact with you, collect the data. So then wherever they go, you can hit them phone, email, they come up with something else. Hey, sign up for this. I'm constantly trying to. That's what a funnel is, right? Social media and everything out here. Funnels down to you in your world. Grab all those things, funnel them down. That's what I would say.
I mean, ultimately, he's talking about getting rid of the middleman. Like, you talked about the power of now. Now is direct market. I don't really have to talk to my customer through Instagram or Facebook. If I bring them into my world and I talk to them directly, it's statistically proven the sales increase when you remove unnecessary components to talk directly to your customer. So if I don't have to have that third party to maintain a relationship, not to discover, But to maintain the relationship, that's what he's talking about is.
And I'm gonna throw one more thing in there because I wrestle with this, and I'm sure some of us wrestle with this as well. Artists specifically, you have to get rid of the ego, the idea of like, I just want to be like Beyonce and do this one tweet and everybody comes to me. like, and I wrestle with this.
Everybody.
I literally was like, I'm not doing this TikTok stuff I already done built, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And guess what? The world's going to move on and they're not going to care. That's a hard reality for us to see. People are at where they're at and it ain't nothing you could do about it. So the question is, do you want to do the work to build fans or not?
That's it.
And that's we have to, I had to come to that with my ego is like, yo, if I got to text you, email you, and if I got to do it 100 times, the most important thing is building the fan and servicing my base. That's all that matters.
Honestly, that's the job. Building a fan base, whether you're on the business side, whether you're on the music side, we are actively in the job of building a fan base. Now, let's do some numbers because we talk about strategy.
That's a good one.
Can we do some numbers right quick? 1,000 people. If I get 1,000 people to spend $100 with me a year, not a month, a year.
A year.
That is $100,000.
$100,000.
I mean, basic strategy. So how long does it take for me to gain 1,000 fans? About 3 years. I'm talking about real diehard fans who love what you're doing. You're consistently showing up to the marketplace. You're giving them an experience. So 3 years. But once you have a niche of 1,000 people, not 10,000, not 15, not all the numbers y'all see on Instagram and all of that, 1,000 super hyper engaged community. That is powerful to brands now. That's power to when you're going to do your shows because you know my people going to show up because I've concentrated. So let's do some other numbers. I like looking at the stuff as simple as possible. Yeah. Okay, how many people in here have over 1,000 followers on any social media platform or collectively of all of them? 1,000. Okay, how many? 5,000. 5,000. 10,000. All right, let's do some percentages. If 5%, if you made a real connection, because everybody that's following you is not a fan, talking about funnels. If you made a real connection with 5% of the people who are already following you, we're not talking about the people who not. We're talking about you already have interest. I would be working that market. That's called a natural market. People who are right here already. And dive in deeper with them, create whatever that experience is going to be, that funnel, be of value to your customer, understand that that's who you're serving and build there. It's real. You start with it's easier to start with people who already know you. They done followed you for something. I don't know. Reach out, like he said, send text, DM. It don't have to be a sale all the time. We are looking for community and connection. Everybody. If I'm a fan of Derek and Derek reach out to me via social media, I'm like, yo, Derek hit me up. And he was just like, thanks for just being here. We appreciate you. Simple things like that. We think so complicated when we're talking about building a fan base and we're talking about building a client base.
And just real quick to that point, because she makes an amazing point right now. Taylor Swift, that's really what got Taylor off.
Study her.
That Taylor has a memory like an elephant. Here's what got Taylor Swift on. Taylor Swift would come when she was first starting. She'd go to a radio station. She'd meet a PD, right? And be like, yeah, my name is Jeff. And okay, she's like, tell me about yourself. Yeah, I'm Jeff. And okay, you have family? Yeah, I got a daughter. And the daughter's name is Allison, hypothetically speaking. And okay, what is she into? She runs track and she's got a track meet today. Okay, that's cool. Taylor Swift might come back to that same radio station 2 years. Hey, Jeff, how's Allison? What? How does she do in that track meet? You know what? I'm playing every record you ever put out because you made it personal. And that's the thing, personal.
Touch. It's a touch, man. We are human.
That's it. And that's the thing too. Yeah, that's the thing to a degree that social media has taken away. It used to be hand-to-hand combat out here, just like a political campaign, right? Like one handshake is the potential to make one fan. You used to really have to get out here and beat up the pavement. But you make a great point. Like, think about that, guys. You know, if the point is to make, it used to be, you know, a lot of people think about this, you know, I say make a killing. Now make a living. If you can figure out how to make a living, not a killing, you can make a living. And that's the thing. And so think about what she's saying, 1,000 people. If you can make $100 a year with 1,000 people, you think about the people you went to middle school, high school, college with, you know, church, you know, and have community with, you know, 1,000 people, you know, 500 people. 500 people at $100 a year is 50,000.
Yeah, I mean, just simple math.
It's simple math. Or
the other thing, I come from a sales background. The other part is that we don't ask people for the sale. What are you selling? Because if we're in business, there's got to be a transaction. So, you know, getting clear on your call to action. What are you asking people to do?
Now, Mimi, that's big, because think about it. We get on socials and we never ask people for anything.
It's like, look at
we
this.
show you something, we don't ask you for anything.
You
Go
get
there.
a like, and I'm scrolling. I wasn't every time an artist. Now, I'm gonna say this. Maybe I shouldn't, but every time an artist has come to me personally and asked me to buy something, I have bought it. If I engaged, if I saw them perform, if it was a T-shirt, if you had the audacity to come ask me for my hard-earned money, that's how it works. You gotta ask people. It's a numbers game too. So we don't ask for the sale. What are you selling? If you're asking people to go follow you on Spotify, say that. Don't ask too many things at one time. We don't have the capacity, the way the society is, we don't have the capacity to do too many acts. But if you ask me one thing over a certain amount of time, over a certain period of time, you will see growth and impact in that one area.
Yeah. And the only thing I would add is just from a different angle. I know this is like, it's not easy.
No,
like it's not easy. And I just want y'all to know, like, just be encouraged. Like, take it. You don't have to take over the whole world in one day. It's just about getting better every day and getting more fans every day. Like, and then if you look up and you'll be like, dang, I got to that 1,000 in no time, just by not letting my ego tell me like I have to be the biggest music sensation overnight. It's like, just take one we building one fan at a time, and just be on that consistent level. And that's what we focused on. Keep because you're gonna need your mind right now in this. You're gonna need your heart, because it's a lot of rejection, right? It's a lot of, as an artist, it's hard to play your music for people and they feel that, or you get no response or you get a bad response. That's hard. But what I would say is, in all of this, as you're doing all of this, nobody knows what they're doing. They're trying their best. So your best is just as good as anybody else's best. Keep trying, you know, stay motivated, stay encouraged, like keep focusing on like, how can I build what I'm building, and keep people around you that, not because you think they can help you blow up, but people that honestly believe in your music, and that's going to keep you encouraged and keep being like, hey, you got this. Like Mimi, that for me. Like, I be in some of dark spaces and Mimi be like, hey bro, just checking in, you good? I need that. Like, as an artist, as business owner, like, yo, keep encouraged, one step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, but the beautiful thing is, once it's built, you know.
And once it's built, here's the other part. Stay encouraged, but learn what tools you need to build what you're trying to build. Like, get clear. I know I struggled with this early on. I was doing everything. And I think artists do this too. You do everything and you don't see the growth that you want to see. What is it that you do? If you can't answer that question, the likelihood of you getting there, it becomes smaller. So that's why I said belief and vision is important. A plan is a plan. If you can't make a plan, there's several people who can help make you a plan, but belief and vision, nobody can give that to you. That's you. And I've got a lot accomplished with belief and a vision. Have not known the know-how all the time. You learn that stuff as you go through the process. You study that stuff. You talk to people like Gina. You talk to people like Dr. Crawford. You talk to your Shannons and your Derricks. But one thing that I've always been settled on is what I believe about myself and what I believe God has put in me and what I believe in other people and where I know God has shown me on where I'm going. How to get there? I don't know. We're still figuring it out.
Amazing.
But those are two things that You cannot take away. And if you're that person, no one can take that away from you. And that is powerful.
That's power. You know, Derek said something a second ago too, just about something blowing up. This the imagery of something blowing up versus something growing up. That's it.
Write that one down too.
You don't necessarily want it to. Don't focus on blowing up. Grow it up.
Maturity.
That's what you want to do. Speaking of tools, guys, let's talk and two things. Let's quickly talk about tools. And I have one more question for you. And I want to open up and see if anybody has any questions for you. Let's talk specifically about tools. You know, Mimi, you mentioned analytics and how important these analytics are. Like, what are some of the tools you actually use? Let's give them real tools, real data, real things that they can go and download, or places that, you know, Instagram, like where should they be looking for these numbers? And then when they get there, what are they looking for?
Yeah, first, again, the power of now that we have access to data that we've never had before. So we can operate like CEOs because that's what they do. They look at data before they make decisions. So start with the data.
That was a diamond. She just fell out of pocket right there. She didn't even know it. Right there. Look at the data before you make decisions. Let the data, your decisions shouldn't be emotionally influenced. It should be data driven. Anyway, maybe they may interrupt, but that was one.
I'm starting with where you're at. Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Instagram? Are you on? Well, I'm not even getting into the industry data yet. I'm just learning about the people who follow you. I'm learning about that. So I'm looking, and a lot of artists have not looked at their data. Who your target? You don't know who your target is. Well, if you look at your data, you can start to get an insight. Okay. And if you want to change that target or you want to expand that target market, at least now you know this is where I'm at. We can build a plan to get to where we're trying to go, but we have to know when we put when I put an address in the GPS, it says, what's your current
location? Yeah, current location.
So and it's okay wherever you're at. Look, if you're at 50 followers, whatever it is, that's data on 50 people. I'm using it. So we're gonna look at it, and then we're gonna start with we're gonna go line by line through what cities are people following from, and then we can kind of start understanding, okay, you did this here, we saw a spike there. We're gonna look at the age, the demographics, because why? Because now I can go study outside of my primary research, I can go study that market. There are research and information on that group. That's all that professionals have done to tell you where these people live, what they work, where do they consume music, how do they discover music, how much are they willing to play for a concert. You can get all the insights you need, and now you're making plans. You can make an informed plan. It's difficult to make plans when you have no information to make it with. So that's where I'm starting. I'm starting with social media data, and then Derek probably use a lot of industry data depending on the projects that we're working on.
Yeah, I had to go on my phone to remember the exact website. Chartmetric is a very good website.
Doesn't it aggregate all the?
It aggravates. It would be aggravating probably, but it aggregates all of your just all the Spotify playlists that you're on, all the Apple Music playlists that you're on. So I would say Chartmetric is a great place to start. Every social media app has some sort of insights, has some sort of data. So my advice would be, if you don't have a team that's helping, maybe start with one social media platform, use that as your primary, and then take everything that you put there and then put it across all the other ones. But make your main focus one. So just own TikTok or own IG, whichever one that is for you. I'd say you need a website if you don't have one, a decent website. They're so easy to make. Squarespace is really easy. Yep. And then you also need some sort of email list. So MailChimp, Squarespace also has its own mail client in there. So maybe Squarespace or MailChimp, but somebody where you can capture people and bring them into your funnel. And then you want to make sure that you're sending, bi-weekly or weekly emails to the people that you have. And just constantly keep building that. Right. That's where I would start.
Can we, and really quickly, I know we haven't talked a lot about it, but from a marketing standpoint, just remember that social media is one component of marketing. True. And all your eggs should not be in social media because the algorithms do change. And so it does become a chase. Again, Derek said it earlier, just be consistent on social media. Just be consistent on social media. But it's one component. So we have to look at PR.
Yeah.
Again, if you do something that is newsworthy, the news will capture it. Like, so just remember there's paid media, and then there's just, this is a cool thing, you know. And when you're looking at music, don't compartmentalize the music. You are the creator of music. And so what else are you doing that's interesting, that complements the music? Look at yourself as the business, because people, more than your music, people are interested in you.
Right. Lifestyle. Right.
It's the story. And we've heard this on several platforms now. It's the story. Everybody wants to know the story. Well, guess what? We all got one.
So look, real quick, build on that, because, and that's something I was hoping we touch on. Think about this, like, you know, the greatest example I can think of with this is maybe Shaq or Rick Ross. I love how Ross has transitioned, how Ross used the music. He uses the music as his great, more so than the product. These days, he uses the music as his greatest marketing tool. This man got, what, 20-some, 30 wing stops. That's what he's promoting these days. He's trying to sell you chicken wings. He's using his music career to sell you another product.
Because he know people love chicken wings.
Yeah. So what else? That's the thing. When you look at the music, and that really goes to my last question for you before we open it up to the floor. When you use the music as your greatest marketing tool, what else are you interested in? And to your point, who are you speaking to? Your vibe appealing to your tribe. Who are the people that are like you? What lifestyle brands can you either connect yourself to or create that will monetize you? What other things can you use, and how do you use, because that's the thing, other forms of currency from this. It's not just monetary, right? It's not just money. It's the attention. It's the fame, the fame. It's the fact that you made yourself this social influencer, if you will. Use that to bring people into your sandwich shop or, you know, your spa, whatever else it is that you're interested in, and may have some knowledge or some information in, or may want to invest in. Let's speak to that. So how do you market, as far as people marketing themselves, right? And marketing the products, how do you ball on the budget?
I'm gonna give y'all some practical that you can do that doesn't cost any money. I specialize in low cost, no cost strategies because we work with independent artists. But one simple thing that you can do is when you introduce yourself to people, brand yourself. If you say, if I go around right now and I shake everybody's hand and I say, I'm Mimi, the hardest working woman in Nashville. I can't make that claim though, because Gina is the hardest working woman. But if I said that to everybody in this room, when y'all talk about me, what is likely to be said? Man, that's the hardest work. Y'all ain't seen me do no work.
Right.
But because I told you that's who I was, and I told you that, you say it. So something as simple as that. Like a lot of times we introduce ourselves and we miss the opportunity to say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I do. Goes back to know who you are, know what you're doing. What do you, I do everything. That's not the answer. That's not the, if you leave with that, follow it up with a strong, I do X, Y, Z. So that's one simple thing that you can do that has a lot of value, because relationships matter and the word does travel. So now they say, oh, well, I know, I just got an opportunity for Sync, because I'll lead with Sync. I get a lot of opportunities just because I told people that I do it. They've never heard a product from me. They've never heard anything, but because I tell people that's what I do, I get referred for opportunities. So again, just using your own mouth to to introduce yourself. If you're introducing yourself, go ahead, and that's a little pitch right there. It's brand.
Yeah, I would say also don't sleep on yourself and your interests. I know, especially me on social media, sometimes I'm like, dang, I don't even know what to talk about, or wherever, I don't know what to talk about. But man, I'm into a bunch of different stuff.
He's a different guy.
Like, and when I tell people that I'm into these odd things, sometimes that's the most attractive thing, more than the music.
What? Give us one.
Neuroplasticity.
So like, Oh my God.
Neuroplasticity.
So yeah, I've been studying the brain lately and started learning about neuroplasticity. And I started just talking about neuroplasticity one day, and everybody was like, wait a second, you a rapper. Like, it blew people's mind and it didn't really connect. So lately I've been into wine. I went on Twitter and I was like, yo, what's some great wines? And then I started getting all these suggestions, all this engagement. Certain people started following me. And I think a lot of times I sleep on some of the most basic things that you're just like, yeah, I do this all the time.
See, watch this.
Super foodie.
But then what happens if he has a wine brand or a wine bar or a wine pop-up? What happens if it's their wine? What if it's hip-hop, hip-hop wine? What happens? So that's the whole point of that. I didn't mean to interrupt, but just drawing the line.
Yeah, it's don't sleep on your other interests. Like, people like the music, but the artists that we love the most, we love them for more than the music, right? We love them for way more than the music. We love them because they put us on to certain things. Jay-Z put us on to all these different liquors and all this different lifestyle. And I never heard of a Maybach till I, a Ross record.
What's
what I
that?
mean? Like, I didn't know nothing about no Maybachs and all that stuff. And it's like, that's what people love about you, is the full person. Don't boil yourself down to a song.
Bring your whole
Don't
self.
boil yourself. Bring your whole self to the
Bring
table,
your
because that's what
whole
people
self.
want.
Your whole self.
We say authenticity, and we say it, and I think people still, again, knowing who you are. Look, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're unique. There's nobody else like you. You matter. What you do nobody can do it like you. We can sing the same song, all of us. It's gonna be a different rendition because we're all different. Just know, like, especially as a Black female, know your value. This is to everybody. Value. Don't overvalue yourself if you haven't done the work, though. But know that you have value and that you can have impact. Be very clear about your value, because when you know who you are and you know you're valuable, it does dictate how you move. When you're scared and afraid and unsure, it dictates how you move.
It's true.
So that's a vibe. It's an energy thing. But just be encouraged that you matter and you are valuable. And it's a lot of money to get. My husband told me the best advice he ever gave me: learn the market over loving your product. Not love it, because I don't love the market, but he said, learn the market. Because I was making music that nobody cared about at one point. And he was like, you are stuck in the 90s, baby. We have transcended. You still ain't nobody listen to a new 90s record. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So learn the market. The great thing that we have today is we still have time. You got breath in your body. You can learn anything. You can learn this business. You can learn communication, this basic business stuff. But don't get complex in the music business. It get real intricate and nooky. That what we're really all searching for is true connection, true community. That's what we all searching for.
That's real. And you know what? Mimi touched on something here. You both have, just in terms of being inspired, staying inspired, and people, knowing their worth and value. That's really our overarching theme today. It's something that we talked about in preparation for today, just how important mental health is. And it's something you're going to hear echo throughout the day, but it's really important. First and foremost, know that you have value. Know that you're important. Know that you matter. That's something that we really want to stress today. We've been, losing folks unnecessarily so, just because we're not letting people know that they matter and know how much value they have and how much they mean to us. Everybody in here has value, and Mimi's point is created for a very specific purpose. So you matter, and thank you all for being here today. We have a few minutes left. Just want to open the floor, see if anybody has any questions for our panelists.
I just love what you said. Don't make a killing, make a living.
Make a live. Focus on making a living. Don't want to make a killing.
You can make a living in this business. You can, and it may not look like what you thought. So don't get fixated on your path. Be open to, like you said something. He's like, go where the something. You said something to me before. I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna share.
Riches in the niches.
Not that one, but he said pretty much. Don't go against the grain. Like, where the blessing is, go. Don't fight.
Follow the favor.
Follow the favor.
Follow the favor.
Follow the favor. You remembered it.
Come on. Hey,
I live by that. If it ain't working, I'm out. If it ain't, I'm following the favor.
We got a question right here. It's the same thing. It's an imprint when you get with somebody bigger than you are, but it's your label doing a deal with somebody else larger. Is all it is. But you have to have your label first. So yeah, start a label. You have to have a label to even do an imprint.
I'd even say start with just an artist.
Mhm.
Like
artist.
just find, like my biggest mistake earlier as an executive was I took on too much too fast, and I didn't have the ability to. I spread myself too thin, as opposed to finding the one guy or girl that I thought this is the one, right? This is the one. So like for me, if I could go back, I mean, I learned a lesson, but a bought lesson that I'll give to you for free is I would just start with an artist that really has a lot of promise, a lot of work ethic, and that you two gel and click and you trust one another. Start there and then put your effort there. And then if that's prosperous, then we go look for another artist. If it's not prosperous, we go look, we want to build there, but start small and scale. This one thing that Black people, we don't really do very well is scale. Mm-hmm. Like we want to go get the building first before we have the money to pay for the building, because we want people to know that we made it. But we don't have to let our egos get in the way. Like you're successful because you're doing the work, not because you have a building or not because you have a certain whatever. So scale, start small. And then once you've maximized that, and then you've outgrown that, then you start, once your current situation, you're looking at things that's getting in the way. You don't go get a building or go get the imprint until you're like, man, we're missing out on money because we don't have these things. Not, hey, I think if I get these things, they'll make me more official. Right? You have to scale, start small and scale up.
Right.
Absolutely. Good point.
I would say, that for me as a producer, it didn't make sense to me to have a studio until it got to that point, till I had to do it every day. It's costing me, I'm spending too much money. The money I'm spending in studios, I could really spend in, it's cheaper for me to have a building now. It wasn't until that point. So great point.
Grow to it.
Any more questions? Oh, we got one in.
What's that?
Or the
Tangibles. I was rattling them off the top of my head.
We need some crowd participants.
What do you have so far? Run them back. Yeah. Uh-huh.
We're gonna have to run the replay.
I'm gonna have to run the tape back. I'm about to. Huh? I was scaling on there.
Put some new nuggets on.
Start small, right?
Yeah.
Start small
and
then scale.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, honestly, what's that? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and also too.
I know one was being encouraged.
Definitely being encouraged. Just another strategy, real quick, y'all. You gotta have a budget.
Yeah.
You got to have a budget. You cannot promote and market anything and think you're going to grow anything without a budget. So use the same principle. Start small, but it takes money to market things.
Yeah. Well,
that's why I said start small.
I would say, what I would say is you have to have a budget, and your budget is either going to be money or it's going to be time.
True.
You see what I mean? Like, so you may have ingenuity and you may not have a lot of money, but you may have a lot of time. And you might be able to say, yo, I don't have a lot of money, but I got enough time to talk to every last Instagram follower I got every single day. Use whatever you're going to pay with money or time, though.
Okay, so watch this. So let's say you have both. Like, let's say you got a little bit of money, right?
Yes.
Does it make sense as an idea for strategy to spend that money on Instagram ads to bring more people to the conversation, and then you begin dialogue with them? Is that what you mean?
I wouldn't.
Not
okay.
really.
I wouldn't buy an ad unless I have something to sell.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think what I would do is, because here's a good question. When's the last time y'all clicked on the ad for music?
Okay.
So that I would say I wouldn't necessarily do that, but what I would do with that money is put that money into creating good content.
There you
right?
go. There you go.
Creating good content and then having a guerrilla style marketing campaign to where I would, use my ingenuity to say, hey, I got this song that's coming out. I'm gonna do a remix contest. Whoever got the best verse, I'm gonna put them on the song, right? Something like that. Like using your ingenuity to be able to create those opportunities for that. I would say that.
There you go.
And then finding just another mistake that I've made, and I think a lot of people make. Sometimes we find those hashtags that have 1 billion people under them. Maybe you might want to start with a hashtag that only has a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
Try to own that 100,000 hashtag and say, I'm just going to keep growing in that situation.
Ooh, that's
right?
a good one.
And you should match. Like if you have 10,000 followers and you trying to do stuff that like 100,000, 250,000, it doesn't match. So when you're looking at social media, be comparable, or what's the next step, the next lift for you. Don't skip 5 steps trying to get to so grow with similar people who are where you are and maybe 1 or 2 steps ahead. If that makes sense.
Sometimes it's just better to master. Sometimes it is better to be a big fish in a small pond, right? Sometimes it's better to be a big fish in a small pond, and then once you eat everything up in that pond, then you go to the ocean, right? Maybe that might be the strategy.
And it's interesting because Nashville is one of those towns like New York and LA, and that there's no such thing as running Nashville. Like it's not like that. Taylor Swift don't run Nashville. So, but you can go run Wichita. That's the thing. Where are you from? If you're from here, it's one thing, but where are you from? Do you have is there an audience where you're from? And then to your point earlier, that's a great place for you to grow your audience organically and to find people that are interested in what you're talking about because your voice represents them. We love the Tennessee Titans because we see ourselves reflected in them because they're the Tennessee Titans.
Tighten up.
So it's the same thing. Wherever you're from, that's a great opportunity. No matter how big or small, it's a great opportunity for you to grow your base there because they know you and you understand the culture there and you speak for them authentically. Any other questions? I think we're good to go, guys.
Y'all been great.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you. Hey, show love, Dr. Panelists. Make some noise. There we go.
Happy Black Music Month.